Hello and welcome to High on Sports Overtime. I'm Ralphie, and like always, joined by my wonderful and lovely crew. Thank you so much for sticking around, guys. And I want to remind you guys real quick, get to the website, highonsportsradioshow.com. You can go there to download any past episode of High on Sports. And, of course, go to Ralphie's Rants for my weekly rants, I guess. Articles and blogs and stuff about how I'm feeling and what's urinating me off that week. And remember, follow us on Twitter, _on_sports, and find us on Facebook, High on Sports Radio. All right, let's get right into this. We have two things we want to touch on real quick. I'm just going to touch on this one real fast. So, former Cavalier Delonte West, member of the Dallas Mavericks, who are going to visit Obama, as they always go. Champion always goes to the White House. Delonte West isn't invited or is invited. The word was because of that crazy crime he had with the three-wheeled motorcycle headed to D.C. with a guitar case full of guns a couple of years ago. And because he's been diagnosed as bipolar and everything, word was that he's banned from the White House. But now I just read something actually earlier today that said that he's actually not banned from the White House and he has no idea what he's talking about. But that's what happens when you're bipolar. But I just have some of his tweets right here. He went on some rant on Twitter where he suggests that he might be homeless, I guess. He says something about he sleeps in the gym some nights and in his car on other nights, and every once in a while he can afford a motel. And he talks about how he's pretty much dirt broke because he makes the league minimum, and he's like, and after all these wages and fees he has to pay and everything, he's not making anything. And he's kind of insane because he says that he lives in the D.C. area, but he's upset that he's not allowed to go visit the White House. And he's like, but it's okay because in some ways I'm the president of my house. I don't know what the hell that means. But honestly, Delonte West needs help big time, especially because when I went to Google Delonte West tweets, I typed in Delonte West, and the very first thing was Delonte West herpes. So,
what the hell?
He's got some major issues. He's got some issues he needs to work out, both physical and mental.
So wait a minute. He is on Twitter doing all this and saying he was homeless, but he has a Twitter account.
And he's the president of his house.
And he has internet access, but he's broke.
I guess it's not that he's homeless, but that he doesn't have anywhere to stay and he sleeps some nights in his cars in Dallas. That, like, his home is in Washington, D.C.
In a box?
Obviously, I don't know. Maybe he's president of the box. Who knows? This guy has
Maybe
gone
he
off
was
the deep
elected
end.
president of the homeless
And he
people.
tells who's the reporter he talks about? Von Erich, you mentioned it earlier.
Brian Windhurst.
Brian Windhurst,
formerly from the Akron Beacon Journal.
Now he actually covers Miami Heat, and he mentioned something about Delonte West saying, "Hey Brian, why don't you get LeBron's dick out of your mouth?" So, I don't know. This dude needs somebody quick. I don't know. Maybe the president should intervene on this. I would. But anyways, there's something else.
Does the president have more pressing matters than Delonte West?
I feel like he can help. You know, his team's coming to the White House. He can have a little
This is
talk.
an immediate problem, though, and it needs to be taken care of.
Exactly, because who knows who he's gonna kill again?
Dude,
If he
Again.
kills.
he's crazy.
Allegedly.
He's like,
He's lost it, and he might have
Some
the
crazy batshit.
So
Yeah.
sad story all around. I miss him. He was a good player. But anyways, there's
But
something
he's
else.
crazy.
There is something else though that we didn't get to on the show that we're gonna talk about here. It's Jeff Fisher, longtime head coach of the Tennessee Titans. Actually, until he was fired this past offseason, he was at the time the longest active tenured head coach because it just seems like they're hiring and firing so quickly these days. They don't keep him around nearly as long as they used to. But Jeff Fisher lost his job this past offseason, and now it looks like he may be going to the St. Louis Rams. Maybe. Word was it was a done deal, and then it came out that one thing that's holding it up is the potential move of the Rams back to Los Angeles. No one's sure exactly why that's holding it up, but the theory is that he feels like he should make more money coaching a team in L.A. than in St. Louis. Which, first of all, that's one of the stupidest things I've ever heard. That is ridiculous. You shouldn't make more money because your team's in a new city. It has nothing to do with the level of success you'll present. But the fact of the matter is the Rams are one of the teams that might go to L.A. because it's recently come out that with their particular contract with the stadium and the city of St. Louis or whatever, if their overall attendance this season isn't in the top 25%, then they are allowed to move and relocate to a new city after the 2014 season. So apparently if they don't get enough people to come watch the Rams, they're allowed to leave. So I don't know. I was just wondering how you guys feel about this. The potential of the Rams going to Los Angeles.
Well, I don't see a big problem with him wanting more money if they move to Los Angeles. Because it's a bigger market. there's going to be a lot more pressure from local media and other news outlets. If the team does move to Los Angeles, there's going to be so much more pressure on him just from everything that's surrounding him.
Yeah, but I don't think there should be a pay increase just for the area that you're moving to.
I vote they shouldn't move at all.
I agree.
I mean, I'm not saying whether or not they should or shouldn't move.
Because,
but if
California has enough teams. They don't need a freaking team in LA because they've tried it like 17 times. It doesn't work in LA.
They have baseball teams.
They have 17 baseball teams, 32 or basketball teams. They got football up and down the state. They don't need another team. Keep St. Louis with their teams. It's the only team in the what state? St. Louis in Illinois. It's the only freaking team in the state.
No, it's not.
Missouri.
It's not
Missouri.
in Illinois. It's in Missouri.
Missouri. That's what I was saying. It's the only freaking team in Missouri. Leave the poor people with the football team. Because I know how it feels when you take my football team.
It doesn't feel
When
good.
Art Modell ran away with the Browns, he just packed up his bag overnight, got on a plane, and was gone. And we're like, what the hell just happened?
At least they're giving
Leave 'em their
they're
team.
giving St. Louis a little bit of a
No.
heads up this time. They're like, hey, if you
People
want to
should
follow your
not be
team,
allowed to move
come to
teams
LA.
anymore. I vote no more moving teams. Leave
Well,
them put.
it's got to happen
It
eventually.
happens.
There's markets that just aren't going to support a team. When you think about St. Louis, they won a Super Bowl within the past decade, and have had some good teams with a quarterback like
Kurt Warner.
I wanted to say Matt Stafford, their new quarterback.
Sam Bradford. That
Sam
was so
Bradford.
confusing.
Yeah, they have the potential to with a high draft pick this coming up year, the potential to
Number
start
2 overall. Man.
start a very good franchise there again. Now there's other teams that could move and no one would even know the difference, like the Seattle Seahawks. Who cares if the Seahawks move from Seattle
They
down
already
to
took
Los
Seattle's
Angeles?
basketball team. Don't take their football
Yeah,
team.
come
too.
on. You
What
can't
about-
beat
You
them up.
can't do that to them.
Now what about the Washington Redskins? Nobody's gonna care if the Redskins move from the DC area to the West Coast in Los Angeles. It's not gonna make a big deal. And I'm looking at this list. You got 2 teams in Florida.
Yeah, take the Jaguars, move
Yeah,
somewhere
take
else.
the
Nobody
Jaguars,
will even notice.
The Carolina Panthers. They can't even decide if they're north or south. They haven't even made up their mind on that. So you might as well ship them to the West Coast. I say 5 teams in LA. 5 teams
No.
max. No more than that.
No.
I can't say 5 teams in LA, but I did read an article once that kind of got me. A guy brought up that he says we should totally have a New York deal and there should be 2 teams in Los Angeles. He's like, obviously the NFL will want to put like a Minnesota and a San Diego to share the stadium, an AFC and an NFC, so you have a potential of an LA Super Bowl and all that. And it's like, my concern with that is that people are so wrong about this. They don't need to put anything in LA.
No.
Everybody talks about if your company is anything, they've got some kind of West Coast headquarters in Los Angeles. Guess what, Los Angeles? The NFL's bigger than you are. They make $9 billion annually, and it's projected to go up to $18 billion within the next 10 years.
Well,
The NFL doesn't even need any of us.
You've also got to look at it this way. If they wanted that New York deal in LA as they have in New York kind of has 2 teams because New Jersey and New York both share
Well,
those
they're both
teams.
yeah, they're both technically in New Jersey.
It's more or
It's
less.
a larger market because if you're in New York,
very
you're in
much
New
so.
Jersey too.
Yeah, and it's more the point of if you live in this part of New York, that's your team. If you live over here, that's your. I don't think Los Angeles needs to have 2 teams in the
No.
same state,
No.
being rooted by the same people. There's a kind of the divide in New York, which is why it makes sense.
And I mean, they've got the Clippers and the Lakers deal, but sure, it just doesn't need. They don't need
Football?
to be in Los
No.
Angeles.
But
Simply
LA
put.
doesn't need football, and football definitely doesn't need LA.
Exactly. All right. Well, they are actually talking about putting Super Bowl 50 in Los Angeles in honor of Super Bowl 1. I mean, why
they
not?
So
said the same
tired.
thing that they were going to move the Super Bowl to Las Vegas too.
Well, it's not being moved there permanently to Los Angeles. I mean,
No,
that
no.
will be the
Well,
venue
yeah.
for Super Bowl
For
50,
1 year.
which makes sense because that was the venue of Super Bowl 1, and they want to return back to the roots. And who the hell cares? Screw Los Angeles. You don't need football. You got a fine basketball team to pay attention to. All right, that's going to do it for us. Again, remember, highonsportsradioshow.com is the website. High_on_sports on Twitter. High on Sports Radio on Facebook. At Von Erich, at AshleyBrum13, at Invisible Nick,
Don't tweet me.
and at eRalphieW. That's going to do it for us, so thank you so much. Good night, everybody. We will see you next week, Monday night at 7 on the MSC Radio Network.